Children, in today's session, we will study about Earth, Sun and Moon. So this is the session in which we are going to discuss about some introduction about solar system, and we will also learn about the internal structure of our planet, the Earth, right? So let us start with this session. Yes, children. Children, as you know that our solar system consists of the planets, the sun, the moon, comets, meteoroids, asteroids, etc. Right? And to study all these things, we need to have something with us, right? So there were some scientists known as astronomers who used to study them, and this branch of study of all these celestial objects is called as astronomy. So how can we define astronomy? Yes, children, astronomy is a branch of natural science that deals with the study of celestial objects such as stars, planets, comets, galaxies, right? Now what are these celestial objects actually? As you know that the planet we live on revolves around the sun, and all the other planets also revolve around the sun, right? And these planets and the sun are known as the celestial objects, right? So these celestial objects need to have been studied in such a branch of science called as astronomy, right? And for studying this, there are astronomers, there are some scientists who are known as astronomers, right? So astronomers study the celestial objects like stars, planets, comets, galaxies, asteroids, meteoroids, etc. Right? Alright. So now we are clear with the introduction. Let us start with the other topic called solar system. Yes, as you know, children, that the solar system is made up of all the planets that orbit our sun, that revolve around our sun. In addition to planets, the solar system also consists of moons, comets, asteroids, satellites of other planets, dust and gas. So always remember that the solar system does not only consist of the planets but also the satellites of other planets, dust, gas, etc. All the planets revolve around the sun in a fixed path called orbit, right? Children, we know that the planets revolve around the sun, but they revolve around the sun in a fixed path, not a random path. And this fixed path is called as orbit, right? So this is about our solar system, right? Everything in the solar system orbits or revolves around the sun, right? And the sun contains around 98% of all the material which is present in the solar system. The larger an object is, the more gravity it has, because the sun is so large that its powerful gravity attracts all the other objects in the solar system towards it, right? And at the same time, these objects which are moving very rapidly try to fly away from the sun, that is to the outward side, into the emptiness of outer space, right? And the result of the planets which are trying to fly away or which are trying to go away from the sun, at the same time the sun is trying to pull them inward, right? And this is what the gravity is playing an important role in this space, right? So this is about our solar system. Let us now see that how this solar system formed. So let us move on to another interesting topic. Yes, how our solar system evolved. Children, scientists believe that the solar system evolved from a giant cloud of dust and gas. They believe that this dust and gas began to collapse under the weight of its own gravity. As we discussed about the gravity, that gravity pulls the objects towards it. It is just a kind of a law of attraction. It is a type of attraction. It will attract the objects towards it. So this is the gravity. So because of the influence, under the influence of gravity or under the weight of its gravity, the solar system evolved from a giant cloud which collapsed under the influence of gravity, right? And as you know that at the center of the spinning giant cloud of dust and gas, a small star began to form. So this is a very interesting way to form. This was the very interesting evolution which took place in solar system, right? This is how the creation of our solar system took place. After all, the creation of our solar system took place billions of years ago, before there were any people around to witness it, right? This is our own evolution which is tied closely to the evolution of the solar system. Thus, even without understanding from where the solar system came from, it is difficult to understand that how mankind came, right? And that is why we have to understand the evolution of the solar system, right? So let us get back to this slide, right? Scientists believe that the solar system evolved from a giant cloud, and because of this weight of the gravity, this giant cloud was able to spin at the center of the solar system, right? And because of this spinning, a small star began to form inside it. And then this star grew larger and larger as it collected more and more of the dust and gas that collapsed into it. So finally what happened? The star grew larger and larger under the influence of gravity, and it collapsed into it. Then away from the center of this mass means in which the star grew larger, right? In which the star began to form. So away from the center of this mass where the star was forming, there were other smaller clumps of dust and gas that were also collapsing. So with the beginning of the star formation, in which the star grew larger and larger, there were other smaller clumps of dust and gas that used to collapse into it, right? And because of this, what happened? This was all taking place under the weight of its own gravity, right? And what happened then? The star in the center eventually ignited, forming into our sun, while the smaller clumps became the planets, right? So in this way the evolution of the solar system began, right? It took place. So in this way we can say that the star was ignited, forming our sun, and the smaller clumps became the planets. Not even the planets, it also used to become moons, comets, asteroids and other dwarf planets, right? So these smaller clumps formed so many objects, celestial objects in the solar system, right? So the first object which was formed was our sun, right? So let us see one picture of our solar system in which our sun formed and the planets formed. Yes, here you can see this is the huge ball of fire. What is it? It is the sun, right? And these are the 8 planets of our solar system, right? Now we will discuss about all the planets, all the 8 planets and the sun, right? So the first planet which is very closest to the sun is the Mercury. Second one is the Venus. Linearly when we will see, it is the Earth, then Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. So in this way the sun and the other 8 planets were evolved, right? And besides these, the dwarf planets, moons, comets and asteroids also evolved in our solar system, right? So this is all about our solar system. Let us move on to another slide and gain some more information about it. Yes, in order of increasing distance from the sun, the 8 planets are, which we discussed, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Yes, now here is one more planet, Pluto, which was earlier considered as a planet. You must be knowing, children, that earlier we used to consider 9 planets and the sun in our solar system, right? But now there are 8 planets only. The ninth one, which we used to consider a planet, was placed in a separate category called dwarf planets by the International Astronomical Union IAU in August 2006. Right? So Pluto was considered as a planet, but then it was placed in a separate category in August 2006 as a dwarf planet, means small planet, right? A very small planet. Okay, so Pluto, Ceres and even Xena, these all are considered as the dwarf planets, right? So we saw the diagrammatic representation of the solar system, that is to linear wise, and we also discussed about the dwarf planet. Other than Pluto, there is Ceres and Xena, that is 2003 UV313, right? So this is the code name of one dwarf planet known as Xena, right? So this was all about of our solar system. Now let us move on to our planet, the planet on which we live, the Earth. Yes, Earth is different from all other planets in the solar system, and Earth is the only planet on which water can exist in the liquid form, right? So as you know, children, that water is essential for the life as we know it. The Earth's vast oceans keep temperatures stable, which is important for life on our planet, right? So this is the uniqueness of our planet. Earth is the third planet from the Sun and fifth largest of the 9 planets, and Earth of course can be studied without the help of spacecraft. It was not until the 20th century that we had maps of this entire planet. So pictures of our planet taken from space are very important in studying the Earth, right? They are a big help in predicting the weather, especially in tracking and predicting the natural calamities which can occur on the Earth. So the pictures are extraordinarily very beautiful, right? As you know that water is very essential for life, and Earth is the only planet on which the water can exist in the liquid form. And see the uniqueness of the Earth, that the Earth's vast oceans also keep the temperature stable, because of which there is the life on our planet. As you know that 71% of the Earth's surface is covered with water, right? So you can just imagine that even when 71% of Earth's surface is covered with water means, how can it be so helpful to us, right? And even because the water is present, water is also responsible for most of the erosion and weathering of the Earth's continents. As you know that there are 7 continents on the Earth, right? And water is responsible for most of the erosion and weathering of the Earth's continents, which is considered to be a process which is unique in our solar system. No other planet has such a unique process in our solar system which can cause weathering or it can cause erosion. It is only possible on our Earth, right? So because of this erosion and weathering, the life on our planet has become more possible, right? The survival has become more possible, right? Besides this, the Earth's atmosphere constitutes 78% of nitrogen, 21% of oxygen, with 1% of traces of argon, carbon dioxide and water. As you know that 78% and 21% sums up to 99%. So rest of the 1% comprises of the other gases, out of which argon, carbon dioxide and water are also present, right? Water is a different one, right? In 1% argon, carbon dioxide and other gases are present, and water is also present, but it is not considered to be the part of that 1%, right? Alright, so the carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere is very important. How? Because it helps to maintain the Earth's temperature. You must be knowing about the greenhouse effect. Because of the greenhouse effect, what happens? It warms the earth's temperature. So without it, the oceans would freeze and the life as we know it would be impossible, right? So carbon dioxide is also very important. Now you must be thinking that we breathe in oxygen gas. So what is the use of carbon dioxide gas, right? How can it help us? It can help us to maintain the earth's temperature. As you know that green plants need carbon dioxide and water to prepare their own food, right? So here carbon dioxide plays an important role in the process of photosynthesis, right? And that is why we always keep on saying that keep planting trees. Why? Because if we will plant more trees, then the gas which we exhale out, the gas which we exhale or breathe out is carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide can be consumed or it can be taken up by the green plants, right? And the green plants which will give out oxygen gas will be breathed in by us. We will take in that oxygen gas. So in this way, the amount of the gases present in the atmosphere will be balanced. In this way our environment will be balanced, right? And carbon dioxide also helps to maintain the earth's temperature by the way of greenhouse effect, because greenhouse effect warms the earth's temperature. So you can just imagine that without carbon dioxide the oceans would freeze and life would be impossible, right? So besides being the most interesting and unique of all the planets, our earth is also the most beautiful. That is, if we observe it from the space, the earth has white clouds, blue oceans and brown lands which seem to shine in our solar system, right? So you can just imagine now that where you live, where we all live, right? With the hustle and bustle of everyday life, it is easy to forget that the human family lives on a small blue planet named as Earth, right? All around us we see trees, animals, buildings, factories, stores, cars and other natural and man-made structures. So all this is possible on Earth. With all of these everyday familiar objects around us and the vast sky above us and the deep oceans beneath us, our home planet often feels quite large. But it is a very beautiful planet where trillions, millions and trillions of life forms exist. They live and enjoy the various experiences of the life, right? Even there is soil in which plants grow. There is a blanket of air around the earth called as atmosphere, which protects it from the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. So to protect our beautiful earth, there is a layer which surrounds or which acts as a blanket around the earth called as atmosphere, which protects us from the harmful ultraviolet or the UV rays of the sun. We know that the earth is like a big ball covered by water and rocks, right? Even the surface of the earth has various features such as oceans, rivers, mountains, valleys, seas, right? So all this thing is possible on earth because life is possible on earth, right? But have you ever gave a thought that how is the structure of our earth, right? While to us the earth appears to be so vast wilderness compared to other objects in the universe, it is actually quite small. In fact, it is so small that we could say it is tiny, right? So now let us study more about earth and let us know about the structure of our earth. So what is the internal structure of the earth? Yes, according to the scientists, the earth is not a uniform solid sphere, right? It consists of different layers, and these layers are called the crust, mantle and the core. Yes, we have studied about these layers in the previous grades, sorry, in the previous sessions, right? The core is further divided into the outer and the inner core, right? So you can recall the layers of the earth which makes up the internal structure of the earth. So let us now study about all these layers in detail. Yes, internal structure of the earth. This is the crust of the earth, that is the outermost part. Beneath the crust, inside the crust, there is a layer known as mantle, and then inside that is the outer core, and the most inner layer or the innermost layer of the earth is the inner core, and outer core and inner core both are considered to be the parts of the core, right? So let us start with the outermost layer of the earth. Yes, the earth's crust. The first layer consists of about 10 miles of rock and loose materials, and what we see as soil and mountains is the only surface of the earth which is also called as the crust. The crust means it is made up of rock and the loose materials. It is the first layer, so it is somewhat tough, right? So this is about our crust. Let us see the near view of the earth's crust. Yes, this is our earth's crust. This crust ranges from 5 to 70 kilometers in depth, that is in this way, vertically, right? And it is made up of rocks. As you can see the layers, how tough they appear to be, right? Because they are made up of rocks. The thin parts are oceanic crust, which are composed of the dense iron, magnesium and silicate rocks and underlie the ocean basins. The thicker crust is the crust which is less dense, and it is composed of some sodium and potassium rocks, right? So this is about our earth crust. Now let us move on to the another layer, the other layer which is beneath the crust. Yes, it is the earth's mantle. Traveling beyond the earth's crust, we can see the earth's mantle. The mantle extends to a depth of approximately 1800 miles, and it is made up of a thick solid rocky substance. Let us see one picture of the earth's mantle. Yes, this is our earth's mantle, right? It is about 2900 kilometers thick. It is largely composed of the substances which are rich in, yes, iron and magnesium, both. So it contains a lot of iron and magnesium. It is from here that magma comes out. So always remember, the magma comes out, that is the liquid part of the lava, liquid part of the molten rock is known as the magma. So magma comes out from here when a volcano erupts, right? So it comes out from the earth's mantle, not the crust, right? So this is the layer which is below the crust, and its upper part is made up of solid rock, whereas the lower part consists of the molten rock known as the magma, right? So the molten rock which is in the liquid part is known as magma. So magma comes out from this layer. Let us move on to another layer. Yes, it is the earth core. As you know that there are two cores of the earth, the outer core and the inner core, right? So let us study about them in detail. Yes, the earth's outer core. Traveling still deeper within the earth, the outer core extends to a depth of around 3000 miles beneath the surface, and the outer core is made up of superheated lava, right? Let us see. Yes, this is a picture of the outer core, right? This is the outer core. The outer core is about 2300 kilometers thick. So what is it actually consisting of? It contains iron and nickel in a molten state, right? And the outer core also consists of some amount of sulfur in it, right? So it actually forms the center of the earth, right? And it is the 2300 kilometers thick, right? So you can just imagine that how hot it can be, because it is actually the superheated lava is present in this layer, right? Now let us move on to other part of the core, and it is the Earth's inner core. The inner core extends up to 900 miles inward towards the center of the Earth, and the inner core is a solid ball mostly made up of the iron, right? Let us see the picture. Yes, this is the picture of the inner core. Now you can just imagine that how hot can it be. It is 1200 kilometers thick, and it is a solid ball almost entirely made up of iron, right? So it is generally believed that the convection in the outer core is combined with the stirring caused by the Earth's rotation, which gives rise to some magnetic field, right? And the solid inner core is too hot to hold this magnetic field, which is generated by the liquid outer core. So you can just imagine that these cores are very hot to hold any magnetic field, right? Alright. So I hope that you've enjoyed this session of learning about solar system and the internal structure of our Earth, right? So I hope you enjoyed. We will meet in the next session with the same lesson, and we will learn more about the solar system, right? Till then, keep learning, keep enjoying. Thank you, children.